2023, beside the snow, brought us with lots of rules. One of the top real estate topics these days is foreign buyer ban. I'm Saeideh with the Tulip Team at Remax Hallmark, and today, in this video, I'm interviewing one of the top real estate lawyers, Robert Hall with Ken Hoyt Law, who will be explaining the details of this topic.
I think in order to understand the foreign buyer ban, we should start with what you can buy as a foreign citizen. And what you can buy still is a rural property. You can buy a cottage property. You can buy a residential property with more than 3 units. You can buy vacant land. Other than that, you've got to fit yourself into one of the exemption categories for foreign buyers. So the federal government has launched this initiative to enable Canadian citizens and permanent residents to buy properties for 2 years unless you can fit yourself into one of these exemption categories. As a foreign national, you're not going to be able to buy residential real estate in Canada. So the exemption categories are quite narrow, in fact. Diplomats, of course, are going to be exempt from the law. Refugees, people fleeing conflict, not captured by this law. If you're a student or you're on a work permit, there's a possibility that you're going to qualify still to buy a home without being a citizen or permanent resident. Best advice I can give is to, of course, consult a lawyer, consult a real estate lawyer as to whether we can fit you in this exemption category in order to purchase. If you're a student, unfortunately, you'll have to prove that you filed tax returns for 5 years, that you have lived in Canada for 244 days per year for the last 5 years. You can only buy a house that's valued at less than $500,000, and you can't own more than one property. Very, very narrow set of conditions that most of the students that I know wouldn't qualify for. If you're on a work permit, you've got to be able to show that you've worked full-time for 3 out of the last 4 years. Full-time, for purposes of the law, means 30 hours a week, okay? For 3 out of the last 4 years. You can't have purchased more than one other property. You've got to have filed your tax returns as well for 3 out of the last 4 years. So again, of the folks that I know that are on work permits, pretty narrow list of folks that are gonna fall into this exemption category, but would not have also commenced the permanent residency process. So these exemption categories do exist. It's not a full ban on foreign ownership, but there's a very narrow set of criteria under which you're going to be able to qualify.